Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. What are Cloud Imperium working on for Alpha 3.18 and during Q3 of 2022? Well, actually, there's a huge amount, and today we're going to take a deeper look. Alpha 3.18 is the end of Q3 patch. However, it's going to start its testing window in July at some point, as it needs around 2 to 3 months of testing for its core features. Its core features are the only things we know that it's definitely going to have, which is salvage and the vulture, persistent entity streaming that tracks objects, so you could put a weapon or a cargo box on a planet and come back for it later. It also has the big old cargo refactor. Now, we aren't discussing those features specifically today. Cloud Imperium have been working on various other features, and from their schedule, from their progress tracker on the roadmap, we can see a lot of work that is planned to be completed during Q3. Some of this might be ready for Alpha 3.18 or 3.19 later in the year. I want to look at these features in a bit more detail and talk about them. At the very least, it shows us exactly what Cloud Imperium are working on during that Q3 window. So let's start with some ships and vehicles. The RSI Lynx. Probably this is going to be a more luxury version of the Urza Rover. That could very well turn up. The Drake Corsair, the no-frills Drake version of a exploration ship. Very multi-role for a sort of small to medium-sized crew. It's going to be, I think it's one of the most popular ships and one of the sort of most anticipated ones that Cloud Imperium are currently working on. We've got the Mistral Sea as well, and that's just finished up according to the progress tracker, and it makes sense that they'd want to try and get it in for 3.18 with that cargo refactor. Potentially 3 other unannounced ships and vehicles are also mentioned. They could turn up at some point during that Q3 cycle. Now, what about features though? Hacking Tier 0 is being worked on and wraps up its work. So this is back-end tasks relating to getting the early tier version of hacking that's going to be used in missions and at various locations in-game. You're going to be able to access areas that have previously been closed to the player, and the hacking is going to be done via a mini-game that is displayed on your HUD. I think we can probably expect a little pipe or rerouting game, almost certainly. We've got expansions to the dynamic mission system being wrapped up. This will allow select mission types to dynamically be tailored to the current environment and quantum at a later date. These missions will be customizable, and payment will accurately reflect the distance traveled and risk involved. It's part of building out the dynamic universe and the quanta system. It's incredibly important for that. They're also going to have a variety of new missions, and a couple that they sort of detailed or that are getting major updates appear to be expanded infiltrate and defend missions. Previously, this was just at underground facilities, but they require an update, especially with the improvements that have come with planetary nav mesh and AI and NPC reinforcements being able to come in on dropships as of Alpha 3.17.2. There's also rescue transport missions, taking advantage of AI follow behaviors to create missions where players can transport customers from one location to another, along with prototype missions where a player must rescue empowered clients from dangerous situations and escort them to safety. So sort of rescuing people off that 890 jump mission rather than just running around and murdering the pirates and stopping the hack that's going on. Maybe taxi-based missions, things like that as well. There's dynamic population, so this is basically them implementing dynamic populations in various locations around the verse. They're going to be appropriate NPCs moving around in areas that can potentially move out of those areas either via spawn lockers or via ships. The NPC scheduler is meant to add and remove NPCs from the game, dynamically spawning them in and out of the verse based on NPC archetype, maximum number of NPCs in a given area, and the probabilities of those NPC archetypes. And it's also ready in Q3, apparently. A virtual AI service, a service that drives the logic of virtual AI, the go-between of subsumption AI and quanta AI. So all these things together massively push the quanta and dynamic universe system forward. Shops and patrons. They're vastly expanding the interactive usables needed for the assortment of shops and patrons they have in game. So they're going to have various vendor behaviors that you see with the bartender and the coffee stand at the moment, but they're going to have this with the pizza and bar and all the other sort of food vendors and kiosks and more. So lots and lots and lots of behaviors are incoming. Weaponware and misfire features, so they're adding the potential for certain weapons to misfire or malfunction based on various factors. This is both ship and FPS weapons as far as I'm aware. They are building flak ammo. This new damage type triggers on proximity or expiration, causing a concentrated burst of shrapnel to damage targets in an area. There's proximity mines, implementing proximity mines into the game, which are explosives that have a defined area trigger zone. When someone or something enters that trigger zone, the mine explodes. I think they're different from the laser trip mines. I believe they are a different type of trigger. Space mines. In space, players in certain ships will gain the ability to release different types of space mine in a coordinated fashion in an attempt to trap, damage, and capture enemies or set up defensive perimeters. This is interesting because I don't see the Nautilus being mentioned, or that could be one of the unannounced ships, or it could be that they want a smaller scale mine layer, or lots of other ships are actually going to be able to release mines on a smaller scale than the Nautilus can. We've also got charge and drain as a feature, so we know it's going to be used in environments to like charge batteries and be used for missions and things to complete objectives. But we don't have too much more information on exactly what we're getting for that and what exactly it's going to be. There's expanded FPS devices tier 1, so throwable and consumable devices already exist in Star Citizen, so grenades and all that sort of jazz, but they want to add new different types of item, new different types of gadget, and build the tools for that. So they've got sort of deployable devices that they want to have, maybe little gun turrets, maybe deployable shields, items that can be carried around as a part of a player's loadout, equipped, and then deployed onto a surface. FPS radar and scanning, so improved signature systems, supporting much greater distances and dampening of signatures by environmental interference and larger signals, so you're going to be able to do sort of scans while in first person. You'll also be able to detect, I believe, audio signals, vibrations, decibels. That's going to be sort of how you detect people and when you're pinging. Obviously pinging is going to make you very loud briefly. Map and radar systems reworks also coming along, so this is an overhaul of the underlying systems and associated UI for the star map, radar, local map, and mini map. Now, this is a major thing that we needed in game for a long time, updates to that, and having a mini map, that's pretty cool. Having local area maps, just having a much better star map. It's something I think we're actually going to see probably at CitizenCon rather than in the game in 3.18. Maybe we could see it in 3.19 or 4.0, but really looking forward to that. It is work they've got wrapping up in Q3 though, although I do think there's going to be a lot more work beyond that. And that's true of all the features we're talking about. There might be other work that does need to be done to complete them, or they're just a step in a process. There's the commodity kiosk updates. Now, we do know that this is actually supposed to be coming in 3.18. This is converting commodity kiosks to utilize building blocks and updating them so that sort of trade and shopping is much more sensible and simple and informative, especially for commodities. However, this feature is also supposed to add loading timers, so loading and unloading is supposed to be part of the game. I was expecting it to come with 3.18 and the cargo refactor, so it sort of makes sense. There are loads of other little mini updates that I want to briefly go over. So there's various net and code updates, there's plugins and tools upgrades, there's improvements for sort of like the back-end stuff and for databases, improvements for high concurrency of players. The Mission Manager app's going to get some updates as well. There's also long-term persistence enhancements, sort of hooking all of the data and information and the way it tracks our sort of inventories and currency and ships and all that sort of stuff that we want saved from patch to patch to patch to patch is all on the same system, all on the same page with their sort of new various updates towards server meshing. There's an initiative for new players and player interaction experience features to help improve and guide players, as well as making commonly used game systems from general interactions, using inventories, HUDs, operating ships, operating the environment, all sort of more ergonomic. This does have various steps. Some are going to be ready in Q3, some are going to be ready in Q4, but a better player experience overall is what is sort of intended here, and that is really sort of super important. There's a multitude of player animation, traversal, and interaction updates. So EVA Tier 2, sort of moving around when you're flying around in space, in a more similar version to flying around as if you're a ship in space. You're going to have limited EVA fuel, and you're going to also have new push-pull mechanics that enable you to pull with your hands around surfaces, so you can like pull yourself around without thrusters, or if you've run out of fuel, that sort of stuff, or just to conserve fuel. There's ladders tier 1, sort of better control and freedom while traversing ladders, less buggy ladders. You'll be able to use gadgets with one of your hands while going up a ladder, or fire, pew pew pew. There's lean over cover, implementing the tech and animation needed to allow players and NPCs to push into cover objects, as well as look, lean, and shoot over them. Mantle tier 2, so you're literally being able to get up to a wall and pull up on it, pull yourself over it, and it's going to have improved detection radiuses and stuff for those areas, so they're not so fiddly. They're planning to add believable player reflections, so you want a mirror that works, you're going to have something that's not too resource intensive, that is a representation of your character when you look in a mirror. There's also some work on Theatres of War stuff, so this feature, which is supposed to wrap up at some point in Q3, is ongoing art design and engineering tasks to support Theatres of War game mode. It's still being worked on, so I think it's just animations and netcode that was holding it back. Maybe with this spate of animation improvements and the road to server meshing, we might see this in our hands at some point in the near future for testing. For those who don't know, Theatres of War is supposed to be a traditional Battlefield-styled, objective-based matchmaking game mode, where you can just sort of jump in and play, very much more arcadey than Star Citizen is. Big, team-based, bam, let's fight. It's at the scale of Star Citizen though, so you're fighting like over a large portion of a planet, and you have a mixture of ships and vehicles and on-ground sort of combat with objectives. I've playtested it a few times. It's pretty cool, but needed work, needed polish, needed netcode and sort of animation improvements, as I said. Boom! That's it for your Q3 and potential features for Alpha 3.18 and 19. We will look at Q4 work and the sort of various features that they've got planned to be finished in or around Q4. And as I say, finished does not necessarily mean then implemented into a patch immediately afterwards. There might be more work on features, and they might need to refine them. They might need a huge amount of testing, so bear that in mind, but we will check all of that out in another video. But what do you think? What are you excited for? Do you think we could see Theatres of War anytime soon? What about those new missions? Would you like to see any sort of new missions making use of any of those new features in-game soon? Do you think there's a big push towards sort of NPC and animation improvements so that they can actually expand out these areas and have much more interesting missions? I hope they're going to start to have wave-based assaults of those bunker missions and have outposts, things like that. That would be absolutely fantastic. What features beyond what we know do you think might make it into 3.18? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below.
Hello, it's me, the Queen. It's my Platinum Jubilee this year, and safety and security are paramount. Lots of people ask me why we need a Queen and NordVPN. I defend the world with my sceptre and crown, preventing those who do it harm from carrying out their evil deeds. Channeling the power of nordvpn.com/BoredGamer and my divine right, I can overcome any obstacle, and so can you, by using the links below to get great deals and better internet accessibility, security, and encryption acidity. I don't know what that word was that I was trying to say, but I am the Queen! I will never be defeated, just like nordvpn.com/BoredGamer.
That wasn't the Queen at all. It was me. It was BoredGamer. I've got to say this at the end, actually, now, just in case someone says I'm impersonating the Queen. Tried to get her, but she was too busy. She says got like a busy weekend or something. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For June, we're giving away the newly released RSI Scorpius Heavy Fighter. This is a 2-seater X-Wing styled ship with a powerful loadout and a turret that can move from the top to the bottom of the ship, giving it a much better range of firing arcs. To be in for a chance of winning that, comment on any of my videos made during this month. More details in the description below. Please also consider supporting the channel by becoming a member with the join button under my videos, or becoming a Patreon, or even donating with a thanks button or donations in the descriptions below. Star Citizen is getting more and more flesh on its bones, and there's always news coming out, and we love to cover that, and we're only able to do that because of all of you watching and all the amazing people that go the extra mile. Whether it's commenting, sharing our videos, chucking money at us, or whatever, thank you so much. I hope you have a great June, please take care, and I'll see you in the verse.